Hello, can you see me? Can you see my screen? Hello.
Yes, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basically, first of all, I have a small request actually. So actually, in the previous class, when I taught, I mean, very few people actually replied. So it's very hard for me to understand what is going on. I mean, are you really people understanding, or am I going too fast, or am I going too slow? Is it obvious, or is it not at all obvious? So I'd like to request you people to at least respond something. Okay, whether you are understanding and whether you are not understanding. Since this is not a face-to-face class, it's kind of a difficult. In a face-to-face class, you can see people's face and try to, you can ask them individually whether they are understanding or not. But regarding this online class, there is this problem. So just try to say what you think. I mean, if I am going too fast, please tell me, or if I am going too slow, also tell me. I mean, or if something is not clear, so just unmute yourself and just tell me that this part is not clear. Okay. And also, as I said in the before class, I mean, if at any point, if somehow you're not hearing me, so maybe there is a connectivity issue. So I'll try for another internet connection, so via my phone maybe. Okay. So is it okay? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, please somebody respond. I mean, it's pretty hard otherwise. Yeah, just a request. So, first of all, I'd like to ask. So, the deadline of the third assignment has been extended, right? Till I think till tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if somebody has any doubt, is there anybody who has some doubt regarding it?
Sir, what will be the implication of if it is submitted late, late for 1 or 2 days? What will happen then?
Okay, okay. First of all, call me Sayantan. Okay, so that goes for anybody. I mean, just call me my name. That is
Yeah,
it.
okay, okay.
Sayantan.
Okay, and I don't know what is the issue. I mean, 3 days have already been extended. No, I mean,
No, no, I'm just asking what will happen if submitted late.
have you submitted this assignment? I mean,
Not yet.
oh, just try to submit it. I mean, we have not really decided about that what to do.
Okay, okay, sir.
So I cannot speak. So I mean, I have to talk to Saurav, and then I mean, there is no any particular decision yet, but just try to submit it within the deadline.
Okay, sure, sure.
In the last class I also asked, so how many days you want. So I initially said 2 days, but someone maybe said that 3 days. So just try to submit it. Okay. And regarding one more thing, so in the first problem, uh, just directly writing the order like n is less than n square less than n cube, you will not get full marks. Okay, so you have to some sort of simplify uh, the identities or terms, and then you can compare, right? So you have to some sort of show these simplification steps. So just directly writing this kind of ordering, you won't get full marks, because we cannot really verify if somebody has, I mean, heard from somebody the solution, or he has worked it out. Okay, so this is one thing. One more thing that I would like to say is like, if you people, I mean, as a class as a whole, think that you need a tutorial on asymptotics and recurrence or recurrence, so you can tell me now, so then will decide accordingly. I mean, then we have to schedule a date, and then
Yes, yes, it will be helpful for us.
So basically,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. So I'll just like to say, like, you probably have an internal group or something, the people who are taking this course. So just try to come with two slots, okay? Two slots of say like 2 hours or something, any day. I mean, Saturday, Sunday is free. Saturday or Sunday is okay with me. Anytime, like not too early, but and not too late. But otherwise, I'm free. So I'll just request you people to decide about two slots for 2 hours, and then I'll choose one slot that actually suits me best. Okay. So I'll just request you people to decide about two slots of 2 hours, and please submit it or post it in the classroom. Okay, then accordingly, the TAs will decide which slot to take. I mean, we'll talk among, we'll talk among ourselves and then decide. Okay. So once, so you will give me 2 days, two slots, and we'll take one class among them. So as per our whichever suits best. Okay. So please try to submit it by tomorrow night. Okay. Hi. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So if is there anybody who has some doubt regarding assignment 3? Hello.
Second question's last problem.
Okay. So we'll take the questions at the end of this lecture. Okay. So let's just finish our talk, our discussion on the new topics, and then maybe we'll take it. Okay. Is it okay?
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one question. Suppose some in asymptotic relation, suppose the relation is big O,
Uh,
but we mention it as small o, like we give some loose upper bound, then will it be sufficient?
so let's take the questions at the end of the class. Okay. At the end of this class, we'll take these questions. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, okay, great. First of all, does anybody have so then in the last class we had covered actually three cases for distinct objects into distinct beings, and identical objects into distinct beings, and distinct objects into identical beings. Uh, so one cases were remaining, so we'll cover that case: identical ball with identical objects into identical beings. But before we move on to that, so is there any doubt regarding the last three cases? Does anybody have any doubt? Because it's better to clear that doubt uh, now and then move forward. Hello, hello, hello. Does anybody have any doubt regarding that? Just feel free to ask me. I mean, there is no problem regarding this thing. Okay. Uh, So since nobody is saying something, so let's just move on to this thing: identical objects into identical beings. So before So basically, we'll solve this problem using a pretty versatile technique called generating function. And as I have said in the last class, so I briefly mentioned that. So it is kind of very closely related to something called partitioning of an integer. So I'll define it formally. So just give me a moment. Okay, and okay, so before directly moving on to this problem, identical objects into identical beans, let's just see what a generating function is. So let's try to understand what is really happening, and then we'll see how that thing actually connects to this partitioning of an integer, as well as how that thing actually connects to identical objects into identical beans. So we'll just move on from one after another. Okay. So generating function is basically, so there are very defined some different kind of generating.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, what do you mean by partitioning of an integer?
Okay, I'll define it. So formally, like suppose we have a number, say 4. Okay. And say we want to partition that number 4 into say 2 parts. Okay. So one way to do is like 3 plus 1 or 2 plus 2. Like, so ordering doesn't matter. So 1 plus 3 and 3 plus 1 are equivalent. Okay. And so 0 doesn't count. So some sort of like this. So I'll just formally define it. So there is some little bit, uh, so we have to formally define it later. So this is some sort of the way. So basically, given an integer and given a fixed number of partitions, we'll break it into sum of integers, sum of that many integers. Say here sum of 2 integers. Okay. So so we'll just go there and just let's just go see what generating function is. So let's see. Suppose like you all know what a formal power series is. Like say, so a formal power series is something like this way. So it is something like f of x is sum of say an x to the power n, where n is from 0 to infinity. Okay. So there are couple of things to note. So in that sense that we are actually using it for algebraic purpose. Okay. We are not really concerned about the analytic view of these functions. We just want to treat this thing as an algebraic identity. We are not really interested into different analytic point of view, but we'll just treat it as an algebraic identity and see how we can manipulate this thing into counting. Okay. So so this an is the coefficient of nth power of this x to the power. So the idea of this generating function is like we somehow map our problem to these coefficients of this formal power series. Okay. So let's see an example. I think that is the best way to kind of understand it. So let's just take an example. So let us suppose, so this is problem 1. So we want to find number of ways we can get 10 from two sets, say I'm taking an example, say one set is 2 3 6 7 and another set is like 3 4 5 8. With the additional consideration, the additional criteria, like we are allowed to take only one element from each set. So one possible way is like 8 plus 2, 3 plus 7, 4 plus 6. So as you understand, if the number of this, if the size of this set is kind of large, then it will be kind of very hard to find it by hand. And so suppose this set is like large, say 10 or 20 elements, and this set is also something of that sort, then directly computing by hand is pretty tedious work, and obviously there are possibilities of making mistakes. So basically, we want a systematic procedure how to do this kind of problem. So let's just see this, how to solve this problem, and then probably you will get a kind of a feel of this thing. So let's just consider this polynomial. Okay, so can anybody say how these two sets and these two polynomials are related? Any guess by seeing them? Anybody?
Powers are same.
Yeah, that's a nice observation. And something else? Just try it out. I mean, no harm in, I mean, doesn't have to be right.
After multiplying, observing the power, we can say how many ways we can do that.
Okay. So you are ahead. So let's see someone else's. So you got it correctly, but so you are kind of ahead of us. So shall anybody else try? I mean, anybody? Okay. So note in the last page, I have defined this thing as an x to the power n. So there are two parts, and for this n is 0 to infinity. So this can be a finite series as well as infinite series. I mean, that depends upon our context, and we'll see a couple of examples. So as somebody has pointed out, so these powers are same as these sets, right? Similar to here, and that was exactly the point. Also, there is something else. So for this power series, important criteria is this power, as well as important criteria is what is the coefficient. And note that all the coefficients here are 1. And that is because we are only allowed to take only one element from this. Okay. So the idea is like to represent this set, represent this set as a polynomial. Right? And so basically we'll multiply all of these things, and then basically we'll also get some power like x to the power 5, x to the power 6 or something. Similarly, you will also get something like x to the power 10 into some c. Some just yeah. So it will be something like some constant, some coefficient of x to the power 10 plus some other term, say there will be an x to the power 15 term and so on. Okay, so my claim is the number of ways to get this 10 from these two sets is equal to this coefficient. Okay, this is my claim. So claim is coefficient of x to the power n x to the power n is the answer. Okay, so and in some sense, can anybody see this? I mean, how I'm saying this? So basically, in a way, we are actually representing this first set as this polynomial. Similarly for the second set as well, and we are actually multiplying. So multiplication actually gives this addition of powers, right? These powers will be added. So x3 and 2 plus 3 it will be 5. Similarly 4 and 6 will be 10, right? 110. So there will be something like some term is like something like 3x to the power 10. So there are indeed 3 ways to get 10. So just so maybe I'm going a bit fast. So let's just see it once more. Okay, so I'm probably moving a little bit fast. Let's just do like some other time. Okay. So what we are doing? So basically we want to find how many ways can we get 10 from these two sets. I mean addition wise, right? We can of course do it by hand, but when the size of these sets are large, it will be pretty hard to do this by hand. So we need a systematic approach. And what is the systematic approach? Regarding via generating function. So basically we encode this set as a polynomial here, as a polynomial here, as well as a polynomial here. How we are encoding? We are actually representing these elements of this set as the power of this formal power series. And this coefficient are how many elements are we allowed to do that. Okay, and we'll multiply it. So by multiplying, we'll add these degrees, the powers. Okay, and that power would in some sense give us how many ways we are getting 10. So one possible way is like getting x to the power multiplying x to the power 4 and x to the power 6. So that's one way to get x to the power 10. Similarly, there is another way like x to the power 8 plus into x to the power 2. Similarly, x to the power 7 and x to the power 3, right? And if you work it out, actually this is the only 3 possible cases. So basically, we multiply it and see this big polynomial and find the coefficient of x to the power 10. Okay, and so the coefficient of x to the power 10 is the number of ways how we can get from these two sets 10 from these two sets. So basically the idea is like whatever sets we are getting, we'll encode it as a polynomial, a formal power series with appropriate coefficients, and we'll multiply those polynomials, and since multiplying polynomial basically gives us the addition of the powers, so basically we can deduce how many ways we can actually get 10. So the whole point of this idea is like we are not actually interested in what x represents. We really do not care about that. However, what we care about is the power. What is the power of this experiment? So whatever game that is here, whatever game we want to play is like regarding this power of this x's. Okay.
Sir, 1 power can be x to the power 10. That is possible. Yeah, power is less than 10.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Like we take if x to the power 10, that is fine. Yeah, we take just lower than x to the power and like x to the power 1 into x to the power 9.
No, mm, I'm not still clear about your question. So if what you are saying like x to the power 10, so this x to the power 10 can come in multiple ways, right? Like x to the power 3 into x to the power 7, x to the power 4 into x to the power 6, as you have said, like x to the power 1 into x to the power 9. But this 1 and 9 are not actually elements of this set. So we are not considering x to the power 1 and x to the power 9. But if they are present in this set, of course, we will consider them. And does this answers your question?
Yes, sir, answered. But if we take if we set contain a 0 element or 1 contain 10 element, and then 10
No,
equal
no,
to
no. So what is the set that you are saying? What from what two sets you want to take? So here we have two fixed sets, right? These two sets. And given these two sets, we actually constructed these two polynomials. So what set are you saying? Like, can you just say?
we include those set by 10, then one set.
We add element 10 into this set.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here we are not considering that. So but just see it how it will work. So regarding, so what you are saying is probably like this. So before we are like considering 2 3 6 7, and let's add element 10 here as well. Okay, and let's keep the other set as before. Similarly, so basically we can actually construct the polynomial as before. So x square x cube plus x to the power 6 plus x to the power 7 plus x to the power 10 into multiplied by x cube plus x to the power 4 plus x to the power 5 plus x to the power 8, right? And then we'll see what is the coefficient of x to the power 10 in this result, in the polynomial that we get by multiplying these two, right? It will be some c into x to the power n plus this. But note that here x to the power 10, so it will be multiplied by at least one of these things, right? So it cannot become x to the power 10 unless there is 1 here, right? So it won't change, but suppose we also add x to this element 0 here, okay? Then we'll add an element x to the power 0 here. And in that case, actually it will be considered. So when these two elements are multiplied, right? When x to the power 10 and x to the power 0 are multiplied, so it will add to one more this, or it will add one more coefficient here. Does this answer your question? So all I'm saying
Yes,
is
sir.
it depends upon what sets you are given. Okay.
Okay.
So if 10 was given here and 0 was given here, then yes, of course, it would be considered. But the example that we had seen here was not such thing. But yeah, of course, it can be there. So actually, we'll see an example of where we'll involve x to the power 0. Okay. I hope this answers your question.
Yes, sir.
So the whole game is like we'll try to manipulate the powers of these polynomials of this formal series, and we want to find first, given the set or given the whatever data we have, we'll some sort of want to encode it as a polynomial, and then so just give me a moment. I have to get it charged. Just give me a moment. Okay. Sorry. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that. So I had to add chart. Yeah, so is this clear? If it is not clear, so just please tell me now, because otherwise later, so as we move along, problems will be little bit more tricky, and then maybe we'll be lost. So if there is anything that is not clear, so just let's clear that doubt now. Anybody? So please feel free to ask the questions. I mean, there is no harm in anything, any asking. Okay. Anybody? Okay, let's move on. So let's see another problem. So basically, we want to see number of non-negative integer ABC integer triplet such that a plus b plus c say equal to 10. Okay. How many ways can we choose this triplet ABC such that the sum of them is 10, and with the additional constraint that all of this ABC has to be non-negative integer. Okay, so and we want to find how many ways we can do that. So one possible way is like 262, and another possible is like 361. This way, like these are two examples. So shall anybody want to try it out? So any idea how to approach this?
N plus R minus 1 CR minus 1.
Pardon me, can you just repeat that?
N plus R minus means
So what is N and R here?
sir, N is 10, R is 3, N plus R minus 1 CR minus 1.
Okay. So I was just about to ask kind of a problem in the problem set, but anyway, so does anybody see how this works? So this actually uses a formula that we had seen in the last class. The formula
Bar and
regarding
star formula.
yeah, star and ball and star formula, identical objects into distinct bits.
Hello. It will be 10 minus 1 C3 minus 1. They cannot be empty because the bins cannot be empty.
They can be empty, right? It is non-negative.
Okay. Yes.
So it is like the case of identical objects into distinct bits. So in that case, if you remember, so if we have n objects and say r bins, it was like, as someone has said, n plus r minus 1, choose r minus 1 when we allow empty bins. And similarly, when we do not allow empty bins, so basically we can only put the bars among the elements. So basically there are n minus 1 gaps among the elements, and we have to put r minus 1 bars if all bins are non-empty. Okay, so this is a direct kind of formula way, but let's see the generating function way. Okay, and that is kind of actually little bit interesting. So basically what I'm saying is like number of non-negative solution of a plus b plus c equal to 10, right?
1 plus x square plus dot whole to the power 10.
Yeah, so let's just yeah, you are right. So let's just go one after another. So just see this A can be anything from 0, 1, 2, dot dot 10, right? Similarly, B also belongs to this. A belongs to this set. Similarly, B also belongs to this set, and C also belongs to this set, right? So one way to encode this set is like x to the power 0 plus x to the power 1 plus this x to the power 10. So actually, since we are considering till 10 only, so basically we can just stop the polynomial here, because we are not because we won't see any terms after that, right? So we are only considered about 10. So we won't see any terms with more than power 10. So we can just ignore after power 10. But somebody has said this thing, but there is a small problem with that. So I think he said only one term, but here actually note that this encodes only A. Similarly, there is a term for B, same term, but there is actually a term for B as well as another term for C, because anything can happen, right? So let's just write it out and then let me know. So whatever happens, say x to the power 10, we find this coefficient and say that that is the number. So how is it happening? Suppose we are considering the case of 6 plus 2 plus 2. Okay, this actually gives a valid solution of this, right? Hello, is the connection lost? Hello.
No, sir.
Okay. So one possible solution is this, right? So just please respond. I mean, one possible solution is this, right? 6 plus 2 plus 2.
Yes.
And that solution will encode from the here. So we'll take x to the power 6 from this term, x square from this polynomial, and also x square from this polynomial. Right. Similarly, we will get say 7 plus 3 plus 0. That thing actually gives x to the power 7. So this will be multiplied. Plus like x to the power 7 plus x to the power 3 plus x to the power 0, right? Similarly this, right? And indeed, if you work it out, so this C will be like 10 plus 3 minus 1, choose 3 minus 1. Okay, we like 13 minus 1, that is 12 C2. That will be like 12 into 11 by 2, that will be like 66, I think. But check it out. So can anybody, does anybody have any doubt regarding this? Anybody? So if you have doubt, just feel free to ask. I mean, unless I understand what is your problem, I mean, nobody can actually clear your doubt, right? I mean, unless the person who has some doubt speaks up, I mean, we cannot read mind, right? I mean, you have to say.
One question, for example, 5 plus 2 plus 3, that is identical with 5 plus 3 plus 2, right?
Yeah, but they
Because
but they will be considered here, right? 5 plus 3 plus 2 is a possible solution, right?
yes, but
But 5 plus 2 plus 3 is a different solution, right? Because this is assigned to A, this is assigned to B, this is assigned to C, right? This solution and
but
these solutions are different, right?
different, because we are considering identical boxes, so I thought those are same.
No. Because that thing will come here, right? So if you multiply these things, one term would be corresponding to this, right?
Yes, yes. Here they will come as different.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not the case of identical balls
Not
and
exactly.
identical
Not exactly.
boxes.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
We'll go
Okay.
over there, but let's just try to first understand what is generating function, and then we'll see something regarding partition of an integer, and then we'll move towards identical output.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah.
There are three, I can think this is the multiplication of three polynomial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have got that formula. Now, if the polynomial order is not same, like first every three order is 10. So if that is not same, can we have this type of formula?
I'm sorry. So I couldn't get your point. So can you just tell me?
What I am asked that for first polynomial it is from 0 to 10, second also 0 to 10, third also 0 to 10.
Yeah.
But if first is 0 to 5, second is 0 to 10, third is 0 to 7.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll fix this polynomials accordingly. It's all about this game of polynomial, right? How we encode this polynomial, right? So initially, what is happening? So that's a very nice question. Thank you. So basically, here what we are saying, ABC are coming from the set of 0, 1, 10, right? Now what you are saying, if I understand it correctly, so suppose A comes from 0, 1, 10, B comes from say 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, or say C comes from like say 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? Then according, yeah, this is your question, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is a very nice question. So yeah, so accordingly we'll construct the polynomials. So for this set, we'll construct this polynomial of x to the power 0 plus x to the power 1 plus x to the power 10, right? For this set, we'll construct this polynomial of x square plus x cube plus x to the power 5 plus x to the power 7 plus x to the power 9. And for this set, we'll construct this polynomial x square plus x cube plus x to the power 4. And then we will multiply, right? Here the issue was like this, right? So one thing nobody has mentioned, so actually there is a nice way to do that. Since these polynomials are kind of like this mode of a, this is like x plus x square. So note that here we are only considering till 10 because we are only interested in the coefficient of x to the power 10. But actually we can actually take this as to infinity, right? This formal power series, but we'll only consider the coefficient of x to the power 10. So if we consider it to infinity, say x to the power 0, so if we consider it like 1 plus x square plus infinity, say, this will be cube, right? And this is nothing but 1 by 1 minus x, if you remember correctly. This will be like 1 minus x cube. So basically, in this term, there is something called negative binomial coefficient. So in that case, we just want to find the coefficient of x to the power 10 in this series, right? Is this okay? Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay, good, great. So let's just see a couple of more problems.
Hello, my question was if we construct that way, that polynomial, then the formula will be remain same.
Sorry, just let me
Formula will be changed.
just let me go to previous page, right? Yeah,
If
so
here the coefficient finding formula, what will be that?
no, so it will be different. That we cannot directly use a formula here. So basically, you can actually what you can actually do is like you can actually consider it as what is the case. So x to the power 0 plus x square, x1 plus x square this way minus these terms after before 10. So basically, we'll minus this like x minus. So basically, from this thing, we will subtract like 1 minus, so 1 plus x, right? So you cannot directly use the formula here, of course, right? Of course, the problems that will be given, so it will be doable by hand, and there are solvers kind of like this. Right? So regarding big things, actually, you don't have to, people don't actually have to write and compute them by hand. Okay. Does this answer your question?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Okay. Let's just see one more example. What example shall we do? So, just one second. So this is kind of a home task kind of thing, or I'll probably put it in the problem set, or I don't know, but yeah. So suppose we have enough amount of rupees, say 10 notes, rupees 20, rupees 50. Maybe let's make it more interesting. So say rupees 2. Suppose yeah, rupees 2, rupees 10, rupees 20, rupees 50, and we want to make to have rupees 100, right? How many ways can we do that? So basically, this is a like a direct way of like what I would say, generating function thing, right? So basically, we'll encode this thing accordingly, and then we'll multiply that and see that polynomial. Okay. Also, there are some. So I'll just have to show you a nice thing. Let's see. Just one second. So, as somebody has pointed out in the last class, how do we solve recurrence relations? So there are a couple of different ways. Uh, like one of the best way is to just guess it and then prove it by induction, right? But as you know, like
Sir,
yeah,
I want to ask something. So for this rupees 2 rupees 10 question, how many polynomials will be there? Like the polynomials will be x square plus x to the power 10 plus x to the power 20 plus x to the power 50.
no. So there is a small trick here. So note that we have enough amount of ₹2 notes, say, right?
Mm.
So basically, we can take multiple multiple ₹2 notes. So what we will do it like, we can take zero number of ₹2 notes, right? But we can take one ₹2 notes. So this is one, but we can also take two, right? Two of two ₹2 note, right? So it will be a formal power series, but the powers would be multiple of 2, x to the power 4, x to the power 6, x to the power 10, this way, right? Similarly, for this ₹10 would be like x to the power 0 for when we are not taking any note of ₹10. But whenever we are taking at least ₹10, right? So the power would actually represent that. So whatever is like, if we take 2, like it will be 20. If we take is like x to the power 30, as before, we can actually stop till x to the power 100. And similar to like ₹20 term, and similar to like ₹50 term. So the point I want to make is like, the construction of these polynomials is where this whole game is lies. I mean, it is not exactly in the same way everywhere. Here we are actually allowed only ₹2 notes, right? So once we take one ₹2 note, so basically we like all other notes we are only we need to only make ₹98, right? Similarly,
Okay. Yes, sir.
we cannot take any x cube here, because x cube cannot come from ₹2 note, right? So
Yes, yes,
we
yes,
are
yes.
allowed only to take power, I mean multiple of 2.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it clear, or you have doubt?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, just don't call me sir. So the idea is like, suppose we had taken a x cube here, right? And somehow suppose we obtain a ₹100, and in that solution, so suppose we get a solution of 100, and in that case this x cube terms also present, but that is not possible, right? We cannot make ₹3 anyway, like by using only ₹2, right? So our construction of this polynomial should actually reflect that. So we can only take multiples of 2, right? So we are taking no
Yes, sir.
₹2 and ₹4. We're taking only 1, and then we're making ₹4 using ₹2 notes. So basically we'll be counting 2. So similarly, yeah. Right? That's a good question. Yeah. So basically, the construction of the polynomial is kind of, it's not a general formula, like a single formula, like it will be only using that way kind of thing, right? So as someone has asked in the class before, so how do you solve recurrence relations? Right? One possible way is to like just guess the recurrence relation and prove it by induction, right? But as you always have noted, like checking of that solution is kind of easy. However, finding that solution is kind of hard, right? So basically, checking easy, but guessing is hard. And unless you practice a handful of them, it's kind of tricky to kind of guess it well. But this is kind of a more general phenomena in the whole area of computer science. So maybe in your algo course you'll see that. Yeah. Okay. So there are a couple of ways to solve recurrent relation. One perfectly reasonable way to solve is like this, via this generating function way. So I'll just go through one example, and then we'll just there will be a couple of problems in the problem set, and so that you can get enough you can work out in enough problems, and then it will be easy. Okay, so let's just start on a simple problem. uh, so let's just see this one, right? So we have this an minus 6an minus 1 plus 9an minus 2 is equal to 0, and this is defined for n greater than equal to 2 with the base conditions. These conditions are like a0 is 1 and a1 is say 9. So how do you solve this recurrence relation as generating function? Can you people just think it for a minute? I mean, let's just directly going to solution. Let's just think it for a moment, and then maybe we'll go. So can anybody have any guess regarding that? Hello, anybody? I mean, it doesn't have to be right. Just say something, please. Just write up. I mean, this is not an exam, right? So you can, of course, guess. Anybody? Am I audible still? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes.
So just try it out. I mean, just think it for a moment. Say, just think for 2 minutes. So just 15, 16. So just see it for 2 minutes. Just try it something out. I mean, it doesn't have to be right, right? Anybody? Anybody?
Multiply x to the power n and then take the summation from 0 to infinity.
Yeah, but this thing is actually defined for n greater than equal to 2, right? So, right, we have two base conditions, right? This recurrence relation only holds for n greater than equal to 2, right? The sum would not be from 0 to infinity.
Okay, from 2 to infinity.
Yeah. And anybody else? So it's correct. Anybody else would like to try it out? I mean, share their thoughts. Anybody? Okay. 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 As somebody has already said, we can simply write it as a formal power series. It will be like an minus 6an minus 1 plus 9an minus 2 into x to the power n, right? Equal to 0, right? Now we'll do this term by term. So let's just see this term only, right? This actually starts from a2x2, a3x cube, this way, right? But we cannot really manipulate it, but so let's just see it this way. Say a0 plus a1x plus a2x square, this way, minus this first two terms, a0 plus a1x, right? And also let's just, I've forgotten it to write it out, and let's just represent a thing like ax is like sum of a and x to the power n. Okay, n goes from 0 to infinity. Okay, so the first term is okay, right? So first term regarding this an into x to the power n, but since the indices start from 2 to infinity, so basically we can actually write it out. So basically we write this, right? So basically we can is right. What is that? So this is like ax, right? This is ax, so ax, right? But a0 is, given our base condition, a0 is 1 and a1 is 9, right? So it will be like 1 plus 9x, right? Is this okay? Hello? Hello?
Can you explain the last two lines?
Yeah, sure. So is it okay till this point?
Yes, you have taken summation on both sides, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically you have taken this thing and represented it as a formal power series, right?
Yes.
And suppose I represent it like ax equal to n equal to 0 to infinity an xn. This is our formal power series, right? And now we will kind of want to find this out term by term. So let's take our first term, right? What is our first term? A n x to the power n from n to infinity. So it will be something like this, right? A2x square plus A3x cube up to infinity, right? We can just add first two terms and subtract them, right? A0 plus A1x, right? This is what I am.
Okay, understood.
And A0 is given by this base condition. A0 is 1 and A1 is like say 9, right?
Yes.
So this is, so basically this first term is nothing but this formal power series minus these first two terms. Okay. This is difficult. Is this okay? Hi, hello. I mean, please just respond. I mean, it's pretty difficult understanding whether you are understanding it or not. Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay. So let's try the second term. Okay. Let's just forget this sign for the moment and just try to manipulate it. Right? Similarly, if you work it out, like it will be, you can see that it will be like 6x into ax minus 1. Okay. And similarly, the last term would be like this 9a n minus 2x to the power n. I'm just going a little bit late. So equal to 2 to infinity. It will be something like 9x square into ax if you just work it out as this first one. Okay. So basically what is actually happening is like if we put all these things into this equation, if you put all this and this into here, what we will get is something like this sort. It will be like ax minus 1 minus 9x minus 6x into x plus 6x plus 9x square x right. We just replaced it here, just first computed them term by term and then just replaced it here. So if you like do this all this calculation, it will be something like ax equal to like 1 plus 3x by like 1 minus 6x. This will be the thing. Okay. Now if we just try to algebraically manipulate this thing, it will be something like 1 minus 3x square, and then if we just do some little bit of dirty calculations, so just you will people please try this out, and then if you cannot do, then we'll see this in tutorial. Okay. So it will be something like nth term would be like 2n plus 1 into the nth term nth term would be 2n plus 1 into 3 to the power n. So just just work this out, and then if you have any doubt, then we'll see this in tutorial. Okay. So this way we can actually also solve recurrence relation. Hello? Is this?
Hello, sir. Can you explain it once more?
Yeah, sure. So so the idea is like we want to solve recurrence relations, but this time we want to use generating functions. Okay. And like suppose this is our like recurrence relation, this one. Okay. This is defined for n greater than equal to 2 with the base conditions that a0 equal to 1 and a1 equals to 9. Okay. So as we have seen before, so we'll represent it as a formal power series. How we will do that? So we'll sum it up from 2 to infinity, because note that this recurrence relation is only defined for n greater than equal to 2. So the indices where this sums starts from is n equal to 2 to infinity, and we multiplied it by xn to make it like a formal power series. Okay. Is it okay till this point? Is this okay till this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now just so what is our formal power series here? It is something like ax is sum of n equal to 0 to infinity an x to the power n, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we want to solve this thing and find the nth term, right, in this solution. So how we are gonna do that? So we want to do it by term. We want to compute term by term and put them over here, and then we'll find the coefficient of this x to the power n. So let's just see the first term. This is like n equal to 2 to infinity an x to the power n, right? So how we are going to manipulate that? So if we just write it out, so basically it starts from a2 x square, a3 x cube and all. So but we have to somehow use what is ax, our formal power series. So basically we add these first two terms, the terms that were not present, and subtract them here. Okay. Minus of this thing. Okay. So this actually gives ax minus of this term. So we know from our base condition a0 is 1 and a1 is 9. So it will be like ax minus 1 plus 9x. Is this okay till this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have computed the first term of this formal power series. Similarly, we actually manipulate the second term of formal power series, and we'll get something like this 6x into ax minus 1. Okay. And similarly for the third term, we will also get something like 9x square ax. Okay, you just work it out, and they are correct. So you just have to work it out and see how it turns out. So now we have these full expressions of this all these three terms, right? This term, and this term. So basically we just put them here. So it is like ax minus 1 minus 9x, this term, like minus of this term 6x into x minus of minus, so this becomes plus, and then like this term 9x square. So and this is actually 0, right? So if we just algebraically manipulate it out, and then basically it actually turns into this thing. And also again some manipulation. So this is basically the square of 1 minus 3x. So in this polynomial, so in this term, you want to find the nth coefficient of n, coefficient of n, and this is where this negative binomial theorem comes out. So just write it out, and then you people can actually check it out yourselves, and then if you don't find this out or cannot solve this problem, maybe we will see it in the tutorial class. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so basically what is the case, right? So for our binomial, so the binomial theorem that we generally learn in our plus 2 is defined for only positive integers, right? This is our whatever we learned from plus 2. Okay, but this is kind of pretty restrictive. Like here we are considering only n is positive integer, right? So what happens when n is negative or like not integer, say fraction? So basically this was a formula given by Newton, but it was more rigorously proved by Gauss in probably something like early 1800, I think 1812 or 15, something like that, by Gauss or Gauss, or however you pronounce it. So basically it is so we want to find an expression for general binomial theorem. Okay, so general binomial theorem, it will be something like suppose ax is like 1 plus x whole to the power, say alpha. This is nothing but n equal to 0 to infinity alpha choose n x to the power n, right? Where alpha choose n, this n this coefficient is like alpha into alpha minus 1 dot 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 alpha minus n plus 1 into delta 3. So just you can just look the Wikipedia or something and just try this out, and if you cannot do, then we'll probably see it in the tutorial class. Okay, so we are already pretty so let's just finish it quickly. So do you have any class after that?
Yes, sir. From 4 p.m.
Oh, sorry. Okay, which class is that?
Computer organizers.
Oh, who is teaching?
Ungsuman, sir.
Okay. So let's just so I'll take more than 10 minutes. Okay, sorry about that. So I just need to start a little bit later. So just see now what is partition. Partition of an integer. Okay. So suppose we want to partition n into sum of positive integers. Okay. Number of ways now here note that we are not actually specifying how many parts, not specifying but let's just see a little bit more concrete thing. Let us first define something called and so let's and this total number of ways of partitioning n is actually defined as E of n. This is called the partition function of this n. Okay, and actually we really do not understand this partitioning function really well even till now, and Ramanujan has done a significant amount of work, but much of it is still unknown to us. It's pretty kind of like pretty mysterious in that sense. So let's just make our lives a little bit more easier, and let's just try to find the number of ways part number of ways to partition n into r parts. Okay, suppose we want to partition like 6 into 3 parts. Okay, okay, so it will be like p63. So just before just going over here, so how many ways actually we can do? So we can actually do 4 plus 1 plus 1, suppose like 3 plus 2 plus 2, 3 plus 2 plus 1, or 2 plus 2 plus 2, right? Here the ordering doesn't matter regarding this partition. Also note that for identical objects, identical beans, right? The, since all balls, say ball and beans, right? Identical objects or balls, all balls are actually look same, right? And also all beans actually look same. So basically we cannot really distinguish, we can neither distinguish any ball nor we can distinguish any bean. So basically how can we actually distinguish it? We can only distinguish how many balls go to how many balls are grouped together, are put together, right? This is the reason this 411 and 144. So 4, in that case 411, putting 4 objects in the first bin and putting 1 object in the second bin and putting 1 object in the third bin is actually same as putting 1 object in the first bin, putting 1 object in the second bin, and putting 4 objects in the third bin, because the bins are actually identical, right? By seeing from outside we cannot really distinguish, is this bin 1 or is this bin 3, right? In this case this is same, right? This ordering doesn't matter. But whenever someone was asking that number of integer solutions, there the numbers, there the triplet ABC were ordered. But here actually, since their ABC was not like identical, but here actually they are identical. So basically, the whole crux of the point crux is like how many balls are put together, right? Is this okay? Hello, is this okay?
Yeah, okay.
So the ordering here doesn't matter. So the only point is how many elements, how many things go together. Okay. So this is like PNR. How many ways we can partition n into r parts, right? And but note that so basically P63 is actually 3. Okay. So basically just so suppose if I give you something, say some number, say number 8 or divided into 4 parts, is pretty difficult to do it by hand, right? Even to compute this sum as a sum, it's kind of difficult. So there is a theorem that actually makes our life a little bit more easier. The theorem actually some sort of states like PNR is the number of ways to partition n into r parts that is actually same as number of ways to partition n into r parts where the maximum part is r. So what do you mean? What do I mean by that? So suppose we are considering P6. So as we have seen here, it will be how many ways we can partition 6 by keeping 3 as the highest partition. So let's just fix 3. So only 3 is remaining, right? So basically we can do it like 3 plus 0, or like 3 plus 2 plus 1, or like 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. No, I'm making some mistake, no? Am I making some mistake? Anybody? Bit confused. Anybody?
So last one.
Is not allowed, right?
Yes, sir.
Probably mixing it up just. Okay, so I'll just see it, and this is not correct. Okay, this is not correct. So I'll just so the main idea is like it will be the same number of ways where we keep r as fixed. R is the highest partition. Okay, and this is a theorem called integer partitioning theorem or something like that. And we don't need the proof. Maybe I'm making some mistake. I'll just post it in the classroom. Okay, I'll just post it in the classroom. Just a thing of it, and just post it in the classroom. Okay. So one possible way to compute PNR, so is like, then we fix that. So the number of ways of partition n into r parts is same as where the highest part is r, right? Is this okay? Hello, is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically
That is the theorem.
Yeah, that is the theorem, and we are not gonna see the proof. So it's called integer partitioning theorem or something. You can search it out. So basically note that then PNR is nothing but Pn minus r. So basically we actually first remove, so basically we remove r plus whatever this n minus r, right? So one term is like fixed, right? So how many ways this n minus r can be distributed? It will be like how many ways we can partition Pn minus r, right? Right? And if you think it just for a bit, it will be like something like Pn minus r comma k, where k equal to 0, k could be 1 to r. And the idea of this thing is like how many ways we can actually divide this Pn minus r into, say, suppose k ways. So one possible way is like one way, so it will be one integer of n minus r, or it will in two ways, so it will be like this thing by 2 or something. Similarly, all the way up to r, because we can take 2 r's. Is these two lines okay?
Sir, why P of n minus r is not getting?
Okay. So according to this theorem, the number of ways to partition n into r parts is the same as number of ways to partition n into r parts where the maximum part is r. Okay. So we want to make n by dividing it into r parts, right? Suppose we keep aside this r and want to divide this n minus r. So how many ways can we partition n minus r? It is p n minus r.
So it will be p n minus r comma r minus 1, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think it's more general than that. Maybe I'll just take this. Just take these two things. Yeah.
In this theorem, according to this theorem, each partition must have the r also.
So r is one partition. No. So r can get into that part, right?
Yeah. So each partition must have the r.
No. So suppose we want to make 6, right? We can actually see it like 3 plus 2 plus 1, right? Also, we can put these 3 inside, so we can actually make like 4 plus 2, 4 plus 1 plus 1. So basically what I'm saying is like, so let's just subtract r and we want to find how many ways we can do that in n minus r, right? This is p n minus r. Now someone has pointed out why I am not doing r minus 1. That is because this r that I am remaining, that I am keeping aside, we can actually distribute that r into these parts, right? Right? So someone was saying.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And similarly, this can be written as here, this way. So basically, we can suppose want to distribute this n minus r into k parts. Now note that k. So how many ways can we do that? We can just directly keep n minus r as a part, right? Or we can write into 2 parts or 3 parts or 4 parts, similar to r parts, because r is also possible a partition. So like when n is 2r kind of thing, right? So it will be like this formula as well. Okay. Is this okay? Is this okay? So I'm just 2 more minutes. Okay. Just how to use generating functions here. So you can actually write it as something like Pn x to the power n kind of thing, where n goes from 0 to infinity. How can we do that? It is like we can put x to the power 0 or x plus x square or something like this. This actually corresponds to this all ones. How many ones am I taking? Am I taking 2 ones? Or am I taking 1 ones? Am I taking 0 ones? Similarly, we can also take 2. It will be like x to the power 0 plus x square plus x to the power 4 plus x to the power 6. Similarly, there will be a term for x cube, for 3, x cube plus x to the power 6 plus x to the power 9, all the way to infinity. Similarly for 4, right? This term actually corresponds to 3, this term actually corresponds to 4, this term actually corresponds to 2, right? Is this okay? Is now can you people see why this is coming? So basically I want to find the coefficient of n, right? X to the power n. So how many ways can we make n? So one possible way to make n is putting only ones. So how many way we can do that? We'll take x to the power nth term, right? And all zeros from everything, right? We won't take any 2, we won't take any 3, we won't take any 4, we won't take any 5 or something, right? Only once. That is a perfectly reasonable way to do that. Similarly, we can actually make n by putting only 2. Suppose n is like say even, so we'll just take 1 from all other polynomials and we just take that nth term here, right? Similarly, we can actually, so basically whatever is happening, so suppose like an is like a1 plus 2a2 plus 3a3 plus 4a4, this kind of thing. So basically a1 is like, a1 is nothing but 1 into a1, so a1 many ones, so the number of ones that I am taking is 1. So basically ai is the number of I. Is this okay? Hello? Hello? Is this okay or shall I say it once more?
So explain once more.
Okay. So let's like represent it as a formal power series n equal to 0 to infinity x to the power n, right? So basically we are interested in this Pn. How many ways we can actually, so what is the coefficient of x to the power n? So one possible way is to use only 1, use only 2, use only 3, use only 4 or 5, also use a mixture of all of them, some term here, some term here, right? So how can we actually encode the contribution of 1? So we add x to the power 0 when we are taking no 1. We take x to the power 1, we are taking only 1 1. Similarly x to the power n, this way. This corresponds to 1. Okay. Similarly for 2, we can take no 2, that corresponds to 0th term, but we can take 1 2 or 2 2. Similarly this for 2, similarly this for 3, similarly for 4, right? This way, right? So basically what is actually happening, so basically n would be like, we take say a1 many terms from the first polynomial, this polynomial, right? a1 many terms from this polynomial, say a2 many terms from this polynomial, a3 many terms from this polynomial, a4 many terms from this polynomial, right? So it will be like a1 plus 2a2 plus 3a3 4a4, something like that, right? Something of that sort. Where ai is so a1 is like value of 1, so it actually corresponds to only 1. So ai is the number of ones, number of i's we take, right? Right? Is this clear? Hello?
What do you mean by use only 1, use only 2, use only 3? That particular step.
Oh, so basically suppose we multiply this, right? And suppose you fix like, I'll only make n using only 1. I won't take any 2, any 3, any 4, any 5, any other number. Okay. Now this actually corresponds to, so basically we'll take only 1 from these polynomials. We are taking 0 from these numbers, right? We are taking 0 contributions from 2, 0 contributions from 3, 0 contributions from 4. So basically that actually corresponds to this term x to the power 0, this term x to the power 0, and all the way we take all x to the power n from 1. So whatever this coefficient would be here 1. So there is only one way to choose x to the power n using choose n using only 1, right? There is only one way because all ones are identical, right? You cannot actually distinguish between two ones. So basically there is only one possible way to get n using only ones. I mean, in that case we have to take n many ones. Similarly, there is only one way to make this two. But when the problem becomes interesting is when I take some amount of 1, some amount of 2, some amount of 3, like that way, right? And this is what is happening. So we want to make n, but we are taking a1 many ones, a2 many twos, a3 many threes, and what is the value of each a3 set 3, right? What is the value of each term from polynomial regarding 4? It is 4. What is the term regarding the second polynomial regarding 2? It is 2. What is the term regarding a first polynomial? Is 1. Basically, ai represents the number of I that we take. Does this answer your question?
Yes, sir. So can you scroll up a bit?
Yeah, sure. I'll upload it, so you don't have to.
Yes, with the Gauss formula where you said I forgot.
Pardon me?
So the Gauss formula, where the page where you told about the Gauss formula.
Sorry, problem.
Yes, at the previous page.
Oh, okay. Oh, negative binomial. Okay. This is pretty available, so you just search it out. And this is available in this Matushek book, Invitation to Discrete Mathematics. See this Matushek book; it's very extremely well written book. And I've also uploaded a note where there are some problems by Laszlo Babai yesterday, right? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I took a little bit more, so sorry, I started a little bit late. Sorry about that. So I hope this actually clears your doubt. So if you have any more doubt, just post it in the classroom, okay? And fix 2 slots among yourselves, talking among yourselves, which 2 slots suits your best, and let us know by tomorrow night, and we'll fix one of the slot for our tutorial. Okay, thank you. So you have a class, so sorry, I'm just just overshoot our time, so sorry about that. Is this okay?
Okay.
Okay. And if you have doubt, just feel free to post it in the classroom. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, regarding the assignment, I just have one small question.
Yeah.
Sir, suppose if the asymptotic relation is suppose big O of n square, but we mention it as big O of n cube, then will it be sufficient? Like, is there something wrong?
Regarding
like we are
notation,
giving some loose upper bound.
Yeah, that is correct. But actually we want the strict test, right? So basically we can always say n is order of n to the power say 500, right? But that is not very interesting. I mean, that is not very precise, I'd rather say, right? This is correct, this is mathematically correct, but this is not like optimal thing, right? This is not the best. So basically we want to find the minimum thing, so we want to find the least upper bound, right? So for upper bound we want to find the least upper bound, and for lower bound we want to find the greatest lower bound, right? Right. So basically, yeah. So basically I'll take more time, so maybe if you have doubts, so we have a class, I think. So maybe if you have doubt, you can post in the classroom, or maybe posting in the classroom is best. In that case, if somebody else has the same doubt, it will be clear. Okay.
और कोई चीज का एग्जाम है सर suppose in the exam time, suppose if we are facing difficulty proving the tightest upper bound, but still I give it in some loose upper bound, like instead of big O I mention it as small O.
Big O and
Then-
small O are two completely different things, right? Little O actually gives you a lower bound, right?
Yes sir,
At
so
least.
suppose if I am facing difficulty to getting the big O, then
A little also gives upper bound only. Little is loose upper bound and big O is tight upper bound, I think.
No, theta is tight upper bound, right? Theta. Right?
Theta is both lower bound and upper bound.
Say n is little O of g of n, when like limit n tends to infinity, n by gn is 0, right? Like
0.
n is little O of n square, I mean smaller than n square, right?
Yes sir.
So I just want
Big O is also that.
yeah, n by n square. So basically I mean I can continue the discussion. I am free, but you have a class, so whoever wants to attend the class, please go to that. This class is over, so if you have doubt, you can either stop, or you can either post in the classroom and mail. And since there is a class, I think attending the class would be more important. Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll just end it here today. And if you have doubts, and just tell us about your two slots of 2 hours and of that tutorial. Okay, so probably your class have started, so maybe yeah. Okay, okay, let's stop today.